Hello and welcome to the Whorehouse Podcast. I'm Dave.
I am Chris.
I'm Jeff.
This week in the Horror House, we are talking about a little Joe Dante film from 1989, The Burbs. Hello, fellas. Welcome once again.
Gentlemen, reporting for duty.
And it's time to talk some horror.
Duty.
If you didn't know, we are three guys that like to talk about horror. From movies to real life, this and that. And this week, of course, was Dave's pick, The Burbs. And what a pick. What a pick, sir.
Thank you. I've kind of wanted to do this for a while. Just haven't, pulled the trigger on it. So, here we go. It's a great pick, I think. Don't spoil it. Maybe you guys are losers who vote this low. I love this movie.
Never know. Here's our socials.
Then
if anybody wants those, get them.
Yeah, jot them down, kids.
We'll show them again later. Or maybe we won't. Dave, I think I have unbanned you, so give her a shot.
I have been unbanned. So that way, everyone can get on my OnlyFans discount.
It said that I
check
banned
fast.
you 7 days ago. I don't know what we were on. I don't remember doing it. So this is on me, I guess. I'm sorry. Dave, how do you feel about being banned from your own show?
It's first. As far as being banned from a show goes, I'm the best at it. No one else has ever been banned from their own show the way I have. I'm facing the biggest ban. It's a witch hunt, frankly.
It really is.
And I'm going to whine and cry about it until it changes.
I just hope that we can move past this as peers. Maybe not as friends, but as Jeff, what do you think? How do you feel about this?
I think it was just the ghost from the movie, the Changeling, Joseph. So I think he banned you.
He was a chaotic ghost. It could very well be.
Right. Here is your indicator, Chris, in the chat of Do I Forgive You?
Station.
Yes. That is all it takes.
Well, that said,
station to bring peace and harmony to the world. If we all just remember station,
it solves most problems.
If like anybody walked into their trial, if I was the judge and the defendant walked in and said, "Your Honor, station,"
right,
I'd be like, "What can I do? Set him free."
He's killed so many women and children. He's got to go. But he doesn't belong in here. Well, that said, fellas, people come to us for their horror news that we get from other websites. I don't know why. It's just the nature of the beast. Thanks to Dread Central and Joe Blow and Bloody Disgusting. I guess that's how this cite your sources.
Twitter. I got my news. I got a piece of my news straight from the horse's mouth today. So I'm a real journalist.
We're killing it.
But most of the time we are the Bing of news.
That feels
Don't
about
come
right.
us for the actual news. We're just repeating what Google said.
That feels pretty good to me. I'm cool with that. But let's get into some news.
There you go.
Our new we built a new add-on to the Horror House. As you can see, this is the newsroom, and it's in about 480p resolution. It's the best we could do in such short notice, but we'll improve it as time goes on. But we've got our own newsroom.
We couldn't spend a lot of money. We couldn't spend a lot of money on the set because we had to hire all those journalists working behind the scenes,
Yeah.
a crack team of journalists, if you
When you
will.
s- when you mentioned Bing
All those
before, it was an odd precursor because guess where this came from?
our team of crack journalists are on the case. So
Yeah.
Journalists on crack.
the journalists on crack, as they should be.
That is what that's what we should be. We're not crack journalists. We're just journalists on crack. Dave, my friend, start us off with something. Any news you got?
Okay.
What do you feel like? What have you
I'm
found?
gonna start off, if I may, with some non-horror news. That way we can get to the horror news. I spent the weekend. This is just a personal thing to me. Just some cool
An opinion
stories.
piece.
Uh, Living life. I spent Friday and Saturday last week at the Indiana Boxing Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My father got inducted and received the Youth Hero Award for his job as a coach working with the Utes
Get it,
of
Papa Dave?
Switzerland County. So thank you, Dad.
Go check out
Congratulations, proud of you.
Dave's Twitter, and you can see some photos, and they're
I
super
got
rad.
some photos on there. So I bought at the auction. I bought a boxing glove that was signed by Leon Spinks. Leon Spinks is a world champion, former world champion, one of the greatest pound for pound fighters of all time. His
Nice.
brother, Michael Spinks, is also one of the greatest pound for pound boxers of all times. And he was inducted this weekend as well. And he was at the ceremony. And I spent some time talking to him. And he also signed the glove that his brother had signed. So I got,
Hold on.
uh,
Let's zoom in on this.
oh, yeah, here we go.
There you go.
Get a little one here. So we got Leon and we got Michael Spinks signed on the glove here. So it
Very
was really
cool.
cool. Got to talk to some very cool people. Got my picture taken with Deborah King, the first female manager of a heavyweight champion.
Okay.
Got my picture taken with Julian Jackson, the first world champion from the U.S. Virgin Islands. And the dude is like 60 years old and looks like he's still in fighting shape. I mean, he's just a miraculous. Got to spend about 30 minutes, and you guys have seen the show. You know how much I talk. And I talk probably less on the show than I do in real life. I'm a talker. I just blah 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 blah. You know, I even sometimes I'm like, Dave, I get it, shut up, but I keep talking. Um, but I spent about 30 minutes talking to Murad Muhammad and maybe said 15 words the whole time. Murad Muhammad became Muhammad Ali's bodyguard at the age of 16. And he was telling me the story that, Muhammad Ali at the time, this was um, in the late 60s, early 70s. It was right after Cassius Clay became a Muslim and changed his name to Muhammad Ali. This was right
Okay.
after that.
Right.
And he was telling me that, he's a little dude. Murad's a little dude. And he's like, I'm Muhammad Ali's bodyguard. How am a little dude like me going to be a bodyguard for the baddest man on the planet? He said, the trick was Muhammad Ali wanted to fight everybody. He had a big mouth. He wanted to fight everybody. And I had to constantly remind him, you've got a product that we make money on. You're not going to get out here and
Oh.
fight for free.
Right.
And so that was kind of brilliant. He's also the guy he went to HBO before HBO did any boxing. And he said, lied to them to get a meeting with the president of sports for HBO. And they're like, we don't do boxing. He's like, I don't do boxing either. I do ratings. And you're going to put boxing on your show, and I'm going to bring your ratings. And they did. He brought boxing to HBO. He brought boxing to Showtime. He had the first ever fight held at Conseco Fieldhouse. He promoted that. And sold the place out rafter to rafter. Donnie Walsh, president of the Pacers, still hit him up for years. He's out of the game now, but hit him up for years, saying, please bring boxing back. So a lot of cool people, a lot of cool stories, and every single one I mean, these dudes were killers back in the day, maulers, total badasses. Timmy Austin, they called him the Cincinnati Kid. 7 consecutive years as the WIBC lightweight champ, 10 successful title defenses in total. And everybody was just so nice and gracious and willing to, you know, talk and spend time shooting the shit with just little old, regular old me, man. It was amazing. And like I said, it was my dad. My dad got elected, so
Yeah.
it was very cool. It was a very big honor. So
Again, go to. I'll pop the socials up when we leave the news desk, but go to Dave's Twitter and check out some of his photos. I didn't. I think I just saw them a couple days ago. I'm like, that's really cool, man. That is really cool.
it was a really cool event. I will absolutely be going next year, even though that's already in. He won't be inducted next year, but I will absolutely go because it was such a cool event.
Right. That is very cool. Now, without further ado, let us get into some horror news. I'll go ahead with the first horror thing. But from a one James Wan, who we all know from The Conjuring, Saw, other things, probably. There is a new Monsters
That lead movie.
TV. There's a new Monsters TV series in the early stages, is what I'm presuming. But after everybody was unsatisfied with Rob Zombie's direct to whatever thing from a couple years ago, Universal is going at it again. This time with maybe like they're saying a darker reimagining to the monsters, which is already a little bit frightening, right? But it's called 1313 currently, and that's what we kind of know so far. It's got James Wan. It's a horror, more horror, little more darker reimagining of the monsters. Do we need a reimagining of the monsters? Aren't the monsters at this point? I mean, they're pushing almost 100, fellas. Like, what are we trying to do with the monsters here? Thoughts, opinions. We're a biased news channel. Chill out.
We make no claims to impartiality.
Not at all.
What do you think about this?
Trace says it all.
Jeff Jeff is stunned, speechless. I'll say this: if you successfully pull off a darker version of the monsters, I'm probably in. I'm probably in. I That's not the monsters. The monsters are camp and family friendly and life lessons. Life lessons.
Right.
Um, about fitting in and obviously Herman loved his wife, even though somehow Frankenstein is married to Dracula and they had a werewolf child. Maybe somebody was stepping outside the marriage. I'm just saying. Um, but
You never
it's
know.
yeah. If you take that a darker space, I'm in. I was I was worried, but I was kind of interested in the Rob Zombie, and I couldn't do it. I will admit I never made it through
It
the
Yeah,
just
movie.
it
never
looked
did
like
either.
something that had a cheaper
Uh,
budget than 90s made for TV movies. It looked so low rent that I I don't know. I don't know, man.
It looked like it doesn't look like it was made by rock superstar Zombie. It looks like it was made on a Henry Lee Summers budget.
Other than Grandpa having mutton chops and the Motorhead kind of style beard,
Yeah, no,
that felt Rob
they
Zombie
were
to
a
me.
little picture dirty.
Dave, what do you got next for our news?
Um, I've got some Halloween Horror Night news for you. I didn't tell you this in the prep. So I got one. The what I have in the horror house or the Halloween Horror Nights news is we have one, two, three, four, five original houses announced this week. It's been
5.
a house announced a week. Yeah, it's
5.
it's been a very busy week for house announcements. So we have Goblin's Feast. And I wanted to read this to you about Goblin's Feast. Where the fuck is this at? Goblin's Feast, where'd you go? Where'd you go, Goblin's Feast? A
I'm
feast.
googling Goblin's Feet, and I'm getting a whole different kind of a thing going on.
I'm sure that's a whole other website. Um,
This is like People of
the
Walmart, but
a
erotic. I
feast
don't
has
know
been
that I like it.
prepared. Feast has been prepared for goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, and witches, and you're the main course. Oh, pretty cool. That how many years have we done this now? And I always say the original houses are usually some of my favorite houses.
Right.
Um, we have another announcement. This is the one that's really I'm gonna save that one because there's one that really's got my motor running. It's not grinding my gears, it's cranking my gears. But the next one, Sweets Candy Factory. So Major Sweets is a recurring character at Halloween Horror Nights, and 2 years ago they had Sweets Meats. And Sweets Meats was human meat.
I feel
Eat
like
it and weep.
they're piggybacking off Soylent Green a little bit. Little bit. Little bit.
Yeah,
Sweet
maybe a
Meats is
little bit. Maybe
people.
the one they announced today is Monstrous. Monsters of Latin America. Or was it Cryptids of Latin America? But you get the idea.
Okay.
There were people in this Halloween Horror Night uh, group that I'm in chatting and said, "Oh yeah, I looked into a little bit of this because I guess this was a Hollywood house last year maybe, and everybody is gaga goo goo over this. So good on them."
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
we have another house called the Museum of Deadly Exhibit. And it is said something about kids on a field trip in the museum trapped overnight. And so, Chris, do you remember talking about the house that was the drive-in and had the cheesy 50s movie trailers playing, and then when you went in, you were walking through the different movies?
I believe so.
Uh, oh, that was Cinema Screams 1 to Cinema Screams 2. Now that was a 50s drive-in vibe. This
Okay.
is going totally 90s, totally radical 90s.
Interesting.
Um, the one character they showed at Spooky Empire when they announced this house, this was the first one they announced. Um, he had a leather jacket, a skull head, and a pink mohawk. And the movie he is in is called Heavy Metal Hell 3D.
Nice.
So I am so fucking in. I'm so in on this. Oh my god.
I can only imagine the
Yeah.
soundtrack, which
Yeah. If
delights the
I drink,
cuckles of my heart.
if I drew, if I drink too much before I go wrestle Stella tonight, I'm just going to think Heavy Metal Hell 3D, and it'll be like, "Boop."
Uh, if they don't
It'll
have
be,
some Dio
it'll be
songs or some King
perfect.
Diamond, you burn it down.
Oh,
Burn the whole park
it's
down.
gonna be so great. But that's the Halloween Horror Night news. I'm thinking
All
that they're
right.
gonna. Allegedly, we got one more original house to come,
Nice.
and then 3 or 4 IPs. So on
Cool.
the IPs.
Cool.
All right. Oh, Jeff, what do you think about the Munster news?
I mean, hopefully it's
Okay,
better than Rob Zombie one, because yeah, that was just bad.
Amen. Amen.
True.
This is a
All
new
right.
feature. This is a new feature in the Horror House news desk. Is Jeff over here is going to rate mine and Dave's news. If it's good, if it's bad, if it's Rob Zombie Monsters or James Wan Monsters news. Sorry, Rob.
Who would have ever thought we were going to be talking about James Wan doing the monsters? What about
we
the
shall
Halloween
see.
Horror Nights news? Jeff, what do you think? 2 thumbs
Really
up.
good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the one year we went, it was awesome.
Up next.
It is a good time.
Up next on the news desk, a quick blurb from Fede Alvarez for his new Alien movie, Alien Romulus. Which, listen, I ain't no Star Trek expert, but isn't Romulus like a Star Trek thing?
It is.
So is this Alien Star Trek? What's going on?
Star Trek versus
Beam me,
aliens versus
beam
Predator.
me up for adventure.
So, Dave, I thought you would be excited by this news, so I included it. But Fede Alvarez says that the environments and the pace of it as well, it's more similar to Alien for quite a bit, and then gradually, you won't even know it. You feel like it's more Aliens. It's a natural progression, and it happens effortlessly.
Okay.
Best of both worlds,
I like
maybe?
it. I like it. I like it. I love Aliens so much. I also love Aliens so much. I almost pissed my pants watching Aliens because I had to pee so bad before the movie even started. Because when I grew up, the movie theater was a rare treat. So I hadn't been to the movies in years, and my old church youth group leader was like, "Hey, new Aliens movie come out. Remember when she showed Alien and all the other kids turned us in for being showing satanic movies to you, and you were like, no, that's the coolest shit I've ever seen. I thought we'd take you to that." And I was like, yeah, sure. If I'm going to get sex trafficked, at least show me a good movie first. And they bought me a big old pop, and I wasn't used to having a big old pop. So I fucking guzzled that and I ate some popcorn. And then I had to pee so bad, but then it was too late. The movie was on.
Dave,
And
the
I
suffering.
would have exploded in pee before I left my seat because I was riveted.
Amen.
Riveted. Aliens is so fucking good.
Lantern.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
in. Man. I'm already in. I'm already
Yeah.
in. I'm already a Fede Alvarez fan. This is the golden age, guys. This is the fucking golden age. We're gonna look back. We're gonna look back at now the way we are looking back at the 80s and 90s now.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Fede Alvarez, Ty West, um, Ari Aster, like with that word, Jordan Peele, like there are so many people doing so much good shit. It's fucking it. I know there's a lot of lean stuff out there. I mean, I go a whole week fucking flipping through the same shit on fucking Shudder and Netflix and Prime, and like, oh, there ain't fucking nothing. It ain't really true. There's just
It's all on Freevee. That's where the Blob
it's a
multi-series is going to be.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting so I can get
in
an installment
14 years.
once a week for the rest of my life.
Dave, what do you got for news? What's next?
I got a little bit of special Jeff news. Jeff, this is well, hold on. Where are we at on Alien Romulus news?
No, that's it. I just wanted to give you the blurb.
Okay. Jeff. This is special Jeff news.
Should I?
I don't know how many thumbs. Oh, you're invited to listen. You're invited to listen.
Okay.
I don't know how many thumbs Jeff has, but I have a feeling we're getting ready to see all of them. Jeff, have you ever ordered a T-shirt from a little company called Bright Rags?
No.
Prepare for that to change because on Monday, May 27th, they're releasing their Vincent Price collection.
Damn. Give him some teases.
So
What do they got? What are they doing?
that's all I have right now is a tease.
Just a tease
They
for it.
they
I see.
yeah, if you
Right.
subscribe to the emails, they'll to say, hey, this is what's coming up in the next weeks, and Vincent Price is coming out May 27th. So
I forgot what a
I
tease
promise I
was.
will.
It's on me.
I will get the. I subscribe so I get the text as well. So on Monday I will get the text as soon as they hit. And
Oh,
Bright Rags shirts are all the. What's the
Rage.
no, what's the other company that does
gutter
the
garbs.
t-shirts and shit? Gutter
Redbubble.
Garbs. Bright Rags and Gutter Garbs, man. Their
I
shirts are fucking
I
great.
stand by both of them. Ironclad.
I do I
Workers'
do like
rights. I don't
Redbubble as
know.
well. Threads, man, threads.
Cool
I do
stuff.
like Redbubble, Jeff, because Stella likes a certain style of t-shirt.
Mm.
So I can get anything at Redbubble I can get in the style of t-shirt she likes.
Wherever you buy your horror t-shirts or just your regular Fruit of the Loom t-shirts for work or play or whatever, use code HorrorHouse3
There you
at
go.
checkout and see what happens and let us know. Maybe it'll work. If nothing else,
Let's know if it works.
in the
Maybe get banned.
comments, yeah, see what happens. Um, every I'm more of a gutter garbs guy currently because they do like their limited pre-order things, and a lot of times it's Freddy stuff, which I have to show to my wife. She's a big Fred head, and I have to be like, "Do
And
you
then
want
she
this? Do you
demands
want?"
you buy it.
And
Uh,
there's been like a handful that she's like, "Not right now. I don't really like that one." But when she wants the shirt, like she'll wear the shit out of it, and they're great. They're great. Um, that's absolutely not the company you were talking about, but still, Bright Rags is just as good of quality of a shirt. They're fantastic. Original designs.
yeah,
If you're
support
watching
your
us, I can't
these
believe you've not
companies
already heard of them.
and use Whorehouse 3 and let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Up next.
Mr. Bright Rags. Let's get a partnership going.
Yeah.
Assume your name is Mr.
Or we'll make our own
Mr.
like we were just
Steven.
trying to do. Up next, we were talking just a week or two ago about the Jason universe, how Horror Inc. has the Jason copyright, and they're doing all new Jason stuff across the board. Our first hint of Jason stuff is coming out in this new. It's not a new game, but it's being kind of re-released. Like they had like a beta alpha thing a year or two ago. Took it down, but now it's coming back on May the 28th. Multiverse. It's a Smash Bros. Like Warner Brothers game. So you got characters from the gamut of Warner Brothers properties, from Looney Tunes and DC Comics, Scooby Doo, Rick and Morty. All these characters, and I'm sure they'll add more from each property as time goes on, as they
You know,
do.
I can't wait to see Jason decapitate the Animaniacs.
And they have shown a trailer for Jason Voorhees in this game, and you can beat the shit out of Bugs Bunny and Superman. And listen, I wanted to kind of already play it because I never got to play a lot of a Smash Bros. Game because I was away from Nintendo for a long time. But they show like a regular Jason skin, which is fine, that's cool. And then they show like a variant skin, I'm sure one you can purchase, that is the Uber Jason, Jason X. And I'm like, they're fucking they're sucking money out of my ass essentially at this point. And they show like some moves and stuff. You see him with a machete, like with an axe, and then at one point you see him with a sleeping bag hitting somebody with it, and
I was
you can
hoping you were going to say that.
presumably filled with a dead camp counselor or a soon-to-be dead camp counselor. But
Oh,
it
I was
seems
hoping you were going to say that.
it seems
Oh.
pretty cool. I can't wait to play it. And maybe we'll play some of it on the channel. Who knows? Who knows?
What platforms or all platforms? Or?
I think all of them. I think all platforms.
Okay.
Um,
Jeff, what do you think about that news?
Great.
seems a little
Okay.
sarcastic, but I'll take it.
Okay.
Dave, any other news you got?
Yes. Terrifier 3 has announced a actor who will be cameoing in Terrifier 3, but maybe more than a cameo. Fingers crossed. It is none other than the iconic Tom Savini.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Do you mean
Yep.
Chuddy award-winning Tom Savini?
Eddie award-winning Tom Savini.
I unfortunately forget if that was Chuddy's 1 or Chuddy's 2. Um, I think the first one. Dave is checking the backlog of Horror House stuff.
Yeah, my good buddy Tom Savini. Did I say my good buddy Tom Savini? My good buddy Tom Savini. That Jeff was there when he took my phone and took a selfie of us.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God, the Whorehound weekend was super cool. I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me flip through my goddamn phone. But, follow us on the Shutters or on the socials, and I'll repost it.
The Chutters.
Shutters social.
We need to make our own social media platform called the Chutters. That'd be rad.
Shutters.
I have one more piece of news. That's
Okay.
really more of
And then
a rant, but
go on your rant, and then I have one more piece.
okay.
Jeff, where are you at with Terrifier 3, Tom Savini?
Oh, Tom Savini, yeah.
Here's
I'm
an
all
extra
into
thing.
that one.
All right.
Up next.
All right.
They're starting to show more stuff for David Cronenberg's The Shrouds. There's clips on the YouTubes. There's a trailer. So he's out there in Cannes saying, doing the interviews, doing the rounds and stuff. And he's saying that he was kind of courted by Netflix at one point early into this. And The Shrouds was going to be a Netflix series. He wrote one episode and they're like, we love it. He wrote 2 episodes and they're like, eh. And so they canceled it. Which he was like, if they don't get it, that's kind of their problem. I'm going to make it anyway. But that said, doesn't hurt my feelings any. A thing with The Shrouds that is some of the reviews coming out, people that aren't that familiar with modern day Cronenberg are like, it doesn't have the body horror that I want from like a David Cronenberg movie. People that haven't seen a David Cronenberg movie since The Fly are like, what is this? He's not been heavy body horror in over 20 years. Crimes of the Future was a little bit more than usual, but that's really not been his bag for a hot minute. Yeah.
You can do other things.
And that seems like one of the things that some of the review outlets are like, it's not body horror. I'm like, you've not watched David Cronenberg, I guess.
I'm not. That does not dissuade me from watching. I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm not bothered at all. I just feel like people reviewing this are like, David Cronenberg, the guy that did Scanners? Cool. That's why they're giving me. And then the stupid assholes. I don't know how you rate this news, Jeff, because I did this thing and then this other thing. Only come to us for your reviews. Fuck these other people. I'll say that much.
What if they said, Chris, would it be a legitimate complaint if somebody watched Shrouds and then came out of it and be like, there's no stock car racing? I know David Cronenberg from his stock car racing movies.
This ain't like Fast Company.
Yeah.
This ain't 1978's Fast Company. I don't want this shit. This ain't Race Car Cronenberg. I would have some weird respect for that and be like, damn, I don't know what bubble you're living in, but I've got to tell you about some of the recent history. Have you heard of COVID-19? Because, wow, you've missed a couple things, sir.
Did you hear about that?
Okay. But one more piece of news before we're gonna pull the blinds on the news thing. Dave, I think I know what you're gonna talk about. But be very slow starting because I
I'm going straight to the horse's mouth here. 1 day ago, a tweet from a Mr. Corey Feldman. Happy 22 day. All right, all right. Happy 22 day. Actually, today is 5/22, which means it's a big day for announcements. And I told you there was some exciting news coming.
Okay.
Here is the big news. Click. Corey Feldman drops explosive new single, "A Joke," featuring a music video. He made a music video for his new single, "The Joke." The music video is directed by Fred Durst. And yes, this is the reality we were living in. I do not know what has happened to the world, but it was awful. It had to be rebuilt, and the alien civilizations that has rebuilt society does not know what they're doing.
I thought you would say Corey
Uh,
Feldman more, and I was gonna click my little snippet every time you did, but you didn't. So we only got a couple.
you mean
Oh, what did I
you
say?
mean like you mean Corey Feldman plays in the movie tonight? That Corey Feldman? Right on.
Well, I'm gonna leave that here forever. So in case we ever mention Corey Feldman. Wait, what? Anytime that name is mentioned, that lines up perfectly in your screen. By the way, that's what I had to do. We had
Oh,
what did we have 7 minutes or 3 minutes? I forget. And I'm like, can I do this real quick before we start? I had to snip
that,
his part of his song so I could use it. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, perfect.
fair
Perfect.
use.
Yeah.
But
We for educational purposes.
yes. Fair. Fair. Jeff, how do you feel about the Corey Feldman news? After you've got a real quick crash course in current Feldman. That
I
about
mean,
that
Fair
about
enough.
does it.
I was expecting more out of
Feldman,
it, and it was just, like modern day Michael Jackson. It just,
I feel like
it,
that's how Corey Feldman feels about Corey Feldman news.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Does that do it for the news for us this week, fellas?
that does it for the news.
All right. We are out of
Um,
here
tell
for
the
the news.
newsroom tell the boys in the newsroom they can take a break.
And we're back.
Oh my gosh, yes. They deserve a break. We have kept them hopped up on crack so they can work on the news 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
We will give them tonight as a break, and then it's back to work tomorrow
Yeah.
in the crack mines.
Mine in the crack. uh,
It comes from somewhere. It's got to come from somewhere.
yeah. People. The time has come for cul-de-sac horror. Cul-de-sac dreams. Cul-de-sac beers.
Right,
It is time for the Burbs. I may have hit my mic. I'm so sorry. Let us talk now about the Burbs, but this is your one and only spoiler warning. And that's it.
We need
Get
to
out,
stop
go
for
watch.
that.
Get out, go watch the movie. Come back. And let's talk about
Pause,
it.
pause right here. And we're back.
Let's talk about it.
Burbs, man. Uh, one neurotic everyman and his Big Lots John Candy best friend, and the obsessive compulsive still thinks he's living the war veteran next door, and his hot wife, is he a cuckold? I don't know. And the rich dude at the end of the cul-de-sac, and the young man who lives next door that might be 16 and might be 22. I don't know. I've seen this
I
lots of times, and I have issues because I don't know how old Corey Feldman is in this movie as a character. Um, and
yeah.
they are suspicious of the new neighbors. Are they just being monsters of Maple Street, or are they
Oh, good
right to be
point.
suspicious? Um,
Good point, Dave.
and as they find out, you find out with them, and horror and hilarity ensue.
There you have it.
So,
God, it is very monsters on Maple Street. Monsters are due on Maple Street. If you've not watched that Twilight Zone episode, highly recommend you go check that out. I didn't even think of that. You're
we
absolutely
might as
right.
well throw a spoiler alert for that episode of Twilight Zone up
I love
because
that episode. Oh my God. Good call. Um, Bored Husband. Bored Husband Ray Peterson is my one big
bored and
complaint with this
neurotic.
movie. Yeah, that's my one big nitpick and complaint of this movie is so he's on vacation and his wife's trying to get him to go, to the lake and this stuff. His mind is wandering. He starts to believe this crazy stuff about the neighbors. But Carol Peterson is literally Princess Leia. I don't want to sound completely insensitive, fellas, but I can think of a thing or two that are a little bit more interesting than whatever the neighbors might be doing. If my
Right,
wife was Princess Leia, Jesus Christ, Ray
right.
Peterson, what are you
I
fucking
would
doing,
buy
sir?
Star Wars figures and force her to enter and act out scenes from Star Wars with me with my action figures.
Um,
I'm assuming that's what you would do with Carrie Fisher as well.
uh, sure, yes. Um,
Okay, well,
the whole time I'm just like, you've got fucking hot ass Carrie Fisher from the 80s as your wife, and you're like, what are the neighbors doing? Oh, shut up, bitch. It was in the height of like everybody hates their wife era, like still, which is still a little bit bonkers to me. Um, you know, that's, that's my one big nitpick. I gotta take a point or two off just for that because I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man?
what would Tom Hanks be without his John Candy, Big Lots John Candy best friend? In this movie, or in Joe versus the Volcano, or in any movie that he ever had, Big. In Big, the John Candy, Big Lots John Candy was a child still,
Yes.
um, but it's still the same character.
He's got to have
Um,
so he's the everyman, but his best friend has to be like a tier or two below the everyman. He's got to be like a little bit homely, a little bit
or a volleyball,
redheaded or fat.
or a
What about the
which
abilities?
Mr. Wilson, it was round. It had the red face from the red paint, so he had both.
Blood from his hand, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Maybe had a blood disease. Would kind of that would kind of do it. But what do we?
It was
Man,
so. I got to start here. Jeff and I briefly mentioned this in pre-show tonight. Dante, man,
Joe Dante.
can we give it up? Can we give it up for Joe Dante?
Absolutely.
The rated as a filmmaker. I feel like when you talk about the great filmmakers of this era,
Yeah.
you talk Tobe Hooper and you talk Spielberg and um, uh, even in I'm like, there's so many good filmmakers in this era,
Right.
and Joe Dante gets overlooked. But uh, uh, side note, got his start in 1974 as a trailer editor for Roger Corman.
Nice.
Foreshadowing. Um, and then his first big break was Piranha. which is a classic movie. Um, it has been sequeled and redone again. It is such a classic movie. Rock and Roll High School, which is kind of the tongue-in-cheek look at those 50s high school movies. Vince
Rock,
Ramones.
Lombardi
rock,
High
rock, rock,
School.
rock and roll high school. The fucking Ramones, man. The fucking Ramones.
Yep,
Dick
All of
Miller.
yep.
this all of this is
Dick
tying
Miller.
together in a 3 episode arc that we didn't really intend at all. I'll just real quick. So this week, obviously, we're doing the Burbs. Not next week because we're off. We're out of town next week. Week after, we're coming back hot with Pet Sematary 1989. The Ramones. Pet Sematary, great song. The week after that, we're doing a Roger Corman special.
Yes.
And all of
Well,
this is just doing that kind of business. And like, wow.
some
Dave.
some days the fates just lay shit out for you. It just happened beautifully here.
Yeah.
After Rock and Roll High School, a Howling, which I would say is barely below American Werewolf in London. I won't put it on the same tier as American Werewolf in London. It's not far below. It's Howling is so good. And Police Squad, the TV series, and then the first Police Squad movie, Leslie Nielsen. I mean, great comedy. Twilight Zone the movie. He did a segment for Twilight Zone the movie. Gremlins and Gremlins 2, the new match. Inner Space. The TV series Erie, Indiana. He did 5 episodes. I think it only got one season. Small Soldiers, that was a classic, a classic family-friendly movie. And I want to point this one out. So I've got to backtrack a little bit to this one. Amazon Women on the Moon. Have you ever seen this? This seems like something Jeff may have watched.
What?
Well,
Amazon Women on the Moon.
Amazon
Have you ever
Women
seen
on the
Amazon Women
Moon.
on the Moon? It's a parody of a 50s sci-fi movie. Ship, you can see the fishing lines when the ship is like doing this number with the star background, although nothing's moving, they're just shaking it with the fishing lines.
So it's an
And
Ed Wood parody.
it's very close. Remember in Grindhouse, the second of the Grindhouse movies, when the time jump and like Bruce Willis is a good guy, and there's a time jump and all of a sudden he's a bad guy. Guess who did that first? Joe Dante in Amazon Women on the Moon. Same thing.
There you
It's a
have it.
there's a it's a setup, and then there's a time skip, and then people have changed allegiances and never explained. And it is funny. It is it's a parody, but it's also an homage. Like you never feel like it's being hateful to those 50s sci-fi movies. It's just pointing out the ridiculousness of it, but also you can feel the love. It's great. And Joe Dante is a great maker. Just when I was watching the opening for the Burbs, from the very start, when you just have it's the night, the wind is blowing, and you have
I'm
the
trying
eerie
to.
music, and he walks out of his house, and when he steps into the rear yard, the wind picks up, and he steps back, and just the open is great. When you see the first daylight shot of the Klopex house, um, uh, way everything is shot, like oh Dante has a feel for like suburbia or small town America that really shines through. I mean, I don't think it's condescending the way some filmmakers may be, or it's also not romanticized. It's just enjoying the beauty of it. I think he's a phenomenal filmmaker and does not get enough credit.
I agree. And I was kind of, speaking of that, looking at his IMDb, like for the last couple decades, mostly he has been in TV, like a random episode of this or that here and there for kind of since his heyday, and I was pretty shocked by that. I thought he would have like maybe I expected some kind of drop off after like Gremlins and Inner Space and stuff like that. I didn't expect him to just be doing TV mostly for everything since, so that was a little bit of a shock for me.
It doesn't like why would you drop off from greatness? It's like Hollywood uh, uses you up and throws you away.
At the same time, it could just be like he decided that he didn't want to do that. Like maybe he's just picking what he wants to do. I don't really know. Like he's like I don't want to do these. It's kind of like a Kevin Smith thing where he did a couple, big features for studios and was like, this isn't what I'm in this for, and then just decides, I want to do with this thing. So maybe Dante was like, I just want to get a check. I don't want to put that much work into this. Who knows? Who knows? If you guys
And
know,
he definitely
let
pulled
us know.
back his schedule because he went from like a movie every year or 3 movies in 2 years to one every 3 or 4. He did 10 episodes of the Hawaii Five O. You talked about the TV stuff, so maybe it is him pulling back and saying, I'd rather not. There has to be so much politics in these studios, so I understand if he decided to pull back. Um, if he wants to come on board for a couple special episodes of the Blob series, Chris, would you have him?
No, I'm directing everything,
Oh,
writing, directing everything.
okay.
Sorry.
Just
Control.
the
It's all about
random,
studio
like,
control.
I'm
just over
sorry.
the top comedy.
Sorry. It's very personal. It's a very personal story that I'm trying to tell. I don't want outside influence in that way. Not yet. Not yet.
If Joe Dante directed an episode, it'd be campy. The Blob would have a slightly overweight best friend, and
Non-canonical. Just
yeah,
random
yeah,
episode.
Like
be-
aside,
yeah.
like we always
Yeah.
talk about that. What was Stranger Things? Like each season has like this episode that is like the outlier, like the one where 11 went
The
to
bottle
Chicago.
episode.
Yeah, the bottle episodes. Maybe I could get him on board for for a bottle episode. Could be
Okay,
could be a thing. Could be a thing.
a
I won't
strictly
rule that out.
controlled condition.
Yeah.
You'd be
Um.
the Steve Spielberg to his Tobe Hooper.
um. So I was watching the Burbs, and I was thinking, this was '89. Um, real quick, was the Adams Family the Raul Julia 91? I was thinking it was 94. It's 91. Sorry. So that may help enforce my kind of idea. I don't know that I can say it's my idea, but let me run it by you guys. See what you think. Does the Adams Family 1991 happen without the Burbs? Is the Burbs an Adams Family 91 precursor? Just think about it. It doesn't have quite the style of the Adams Family,
Oh
right?
no.
But I mean, you got the Adams Family, right? We're kind of like on their side looking out at kind of the world, from their point of view. But with the Burbs, we're on the outside kind of looking towards the Adams Family. And in a way, the
I can
normies
see
looking
that.
into that world, but it has some things I don't know if the Adams Family 91 kind of happens without the Burbs. I feel like it was a
I could
perfect precursor to that. It,
It does.
I feel
I
like it
could
set the
maybe see
stage.
because between the Burbs and the Gremlins, you have family friendly comedic horror. And so tonally, stylistically different, but tonally, um, yeah, I could see that. And your whole it's a mirror of that microcosm. Okay, I'll give it to you. I give it to you.
Okay,
I give it
okay.
give that theory a thumbs up.
Jeff, how do you feel about that?
Don't get two, not two, just one.
Oh, I like your line of thinking on that
Yes.
with the Adams family, how they're this crazy family, and they look out at the world just different for them, and the Burbs is basically like the opposite of we're just there like looking at this crazy family like because we don't understand what's going on. They keep to themselves, they stay in their house all day, they rarely leave. It'd be weird if there was like a opposite movie where it was like showing what the Kopecks are doing and how they see the neighbors.
Yeah. I would have absolutely been interested to watch a Kopec's point of view or a Kopec's sequel even. Like where are they now? And what other family members could we introduce to this to really go for it? I would have absolutely been down for a spin-off of the Burbs with the Kopecks. Absolutely been down with it.
Meet the Kopecks.
Dude,
Sounds like
absolutely.
you
Absolutely
got
could have
it.
called
You
it
got
that.
it. Yes.
Sign me up. And speaking of the Kopecks, Courtney Gaines, who you're watching it, and I actually forget his name. In this movie,
Hans.
Hans
Hans.
is he's a character actor. He's been in a ton of stuff since and even before. But I think a lot of people in the horror house will recognize him as Malachi from the original Children of the Corn. And he had a
What
real
you
quick
do, Malik?
cameo in the first Back to the Future, back in George McFly's heyday. Like there's a scene with him in the hallway,
Okay.
and I mean, he absolutely it just works. I would watch a Meet the Kopecks in 2024 if Courtney Gaines wanted to shoulder it and just be like, I'll fucking carry it on because his two co-stars, unfortunately, have passed away several years ago, who were great. But let's do it. Let's
I
do it.
hope it. I hope the Klopeks are killers, but the show finds justification for the killing. Like they're
Yeah.
all bad people. They only kill assholes. Uh, or everything's just they're not really intentionally killing anybody. Like everything's just a accident, like Dale and Tucker versus evil.
Yes,
What
that would
was
be amazing.
event?
I
And
could.
so I mean they can't. I'm not going to go to jail because somebody accidentally died in my basement. I'm going to burn them up in the furnace. Oh, um,
Amen.
oh yeah.
Amen.
I you do it like that,
Ah,
and
hell
I
yeah.
am 100% in. So you also get Dick Miller in this movie.
Yes.
Who, R.I.P. Bruce Dern, and his wife in the movie. Well,
Another Corman alumni, Bruce Stern, in
mm-hmm.
a lot of Roger Corman stuff.
Is that Laura Dern's dad as well?
Yes.
Really,
Okay,
I didn't know that.
I thought no.
So much Corman stuff. Oh my god, I just watched a video last night of Good Bad Flicks is one of my favorite YouTubers for horror stuff and like B niche kind of horror stuff. And he has currently a Corman like five best rip-off Corman movies, something like that, where Corman is kind of like trying to get on the bandwagon of something else real quick to, you know. But he made Carnosaur right before, well, as he learned of Jurassic Park was happening, and the one of the
Like, I'll
stars
go
of
get
Carnosaur was Laura Dern's mother. Um, and this is just everything's coming up Corman right now, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
I thought I really thought I had Jeff earlier, Chris. I think you were froze at the time.
Oh no.
Connie Rumsfeld is played by Wendy Shaw.
Right.
Wendy Shaw is well known. She is in Small Soldier. She's in some other stuff, but
Right.
probably best known for a TV show that had aired from 2005 to 2023. Chris. Jeff already knows. Fucker. Uh,
Good
Chris, you know
morning,
what? She's
USA. Yeah, I got a feeling it's gonna
oh,
be a wonderful day.
oh,
I did
Apparently,
see
Seth
that.
I didn't.
MacFarlane was a huge fan of the Burbs and got her on the show. So,
Also, a huge not fan of tan lines,
yeah.
which,
It's okay. It's okay.
just saying, just saying.
Yeah. Of course.
Corey Feldman.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say you cockblocked me on the Corey Feldman.
I
Depending on
had
how
to.
old Corey Feldman is, he shouldn't be looking.
I wanted to say real quick, along with Dick Miller as the garbage man, you get Robert Picardo, who at first I thought was Tim Robbins. Real quick, I'm like, is that fucking Tim Robbins? And then it zoomed out. I'm like, oh, right. It took me a second,
That's only
but
Tim Robbins. If Tim Robbins went to the future, from the future came back just to play the garbage man in this.
it could be. And what I mean, they were really bit parts, but they were great parts. They were great parts. I loved both of them. They were great.
Apparently, there was
This
deleted scenes like alternate endings for the final where they like open up the Klopex's trunk, and one of the scenes was supposed to be the two garbage men in the trunk,
Oh, really?
and then another one was
Oh.
supposed to be like cheerleaders.
That's
I like
fantastic.
that idea. I like that idea of
Um,
the garbage man being in there.
there is so much we were saying, or I was saying before the show started. Like I've watched this movie maybe 5 times, give or take, over the years. I think one of the last times that I watched it was when Netflix still sent out DVDs, and I got it off that. Um, so I consistently forget the ending of the movie. That I don't know if the Klopex are bad people or like what's really going on. But I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure that I gut laugh every time Bruce Stern falls off the roof. Every time when he like oh, and then finally hits the bottom, I am like, it gets me so good every time. It is my unashamedly my favorite gag in the movie. This has slapstick in it that is it just hits for me. Most of the slapstick just
When
it hits me.
they're getting attacked by the bees and he comes running with a hose and yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a ton. It's great.
Steps on the porch. The
The
second time the porch breaks, like
Yeah.
you already know the porch is garbage, and but drops the brownies and then puts them back on the
Yeah.
plate and he's like, "Here you go, Sonny." I'm like,
Got a
"Oh
sweet
man."
tooth.
Uh, it hits
I told
the
you
comedic
guys
notes for me.
it does. I told you guys when I stopped at the liquor store on the way home tonight.
Yes.
I was talking to the liquor store guy about show, and I told him tonight we were doing the Burbs, and the scene that stuck to his mind, that the first scene he talked about is when at the end when Tom Hanks is like, "Fuck it, just put me on the stretcher and put me in the hospital and let's go," and then nobody comes, so he picks it up and throws it in the
Yes.
ambulance himself. I'm saying
Yes. I forgot about that
that
as well.
is
Apparently,
Um,
this is during the writer strike, and so
oh, right.
uh, they couldn't get the writer to write anything else for it or change anything for it. So Joe Dante had the cast uh, improvise, and so Tom Hanks improvised that scene with him
Right.
putting himself on the gurney. So
Which is so out of left field compared to how
right,
life usually goes, where people are like, "Don't call the fucking ambulance,"
right.
and he's like, "Get me in that shit. Get me out of here." It's fantastic.
He just blew himself up. So
Yeah.
the scene
Um.
with Carrie Fisher and him playing Jeopardy, that was improvised.
A lot of I read that a lot of Rick. God, I don't know how to even begin to pronounce his name because I'm an idiot. The neighbor, the fat guy,
The fat neighbor.
who, by the way, like if that's fat, like God, he'd be a king these days. And Rick Ducommon, is that how you would
Sounds
you
good.
would
Come in.
kind of get there? But Art, I'll just say Art. Did a lot of his
Can I say
like
he's
ad
probably not
libbing.
alive anymore?
He is
Probably
not.
not alive anymore.
He died from advanced diabetes 20
Or
years
was it
ago.
vampires? Because if that's his name, the vampires are probably like, "Are you Rick? How do you pronounce your last name?" And he says, "Do come in."
Oh, I see what you're saying. A big he was in a lot of Pauly Shore
It's a
stuff
long walk for
also.
a short drink of water.
Uh
Baseballs.
yeah, he was in not the Monsters, but Monsters with Fred Savage and Howie Mandel, if anybody remembers that. Horrified me as a child. Dreadful, scary. It kind of
Uh,
still is as an adult.
Howie Mandel still scares me.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. I agree. Um, any other points you guys want to touch on for this? Just throw it out
Okay,
there.
so this is the adult version of the hijinks me and my buddy we would have got into when we were younger. I mean, we did these things. Not maybe not like accuse the neighbors of murder, but we had a whole theory that there was, you know, um, evil going on in our neighborhood, and the lady across the street from us, Mary, and she was probably the sweetest lady in the whole world. We were convinced she was up to no good because she just seemed too sweet. And then one night when we were under the influence of some not regular stuff, she had a statue of the Virgin Mary in her backyard, and it spoke to my cousin Kenny and I. So that was kind of weird. But they're like, what neighborhood didn't have a haunted house or didn't have like weird neighbors?
Yeah, don't
So
talk
this
to those
becomes
neighbors.
so it becomes so relatable. Um, God, I just love this
And
movie.
I mean
I
that
love
goes
this
back to
movie.
the monsters are doing the on Maple Street, right? Like it's so. I mean, it's like a comedic, a slapstick version of that story, which is a great story to begin with, and then you get a Tom Hanks, you get a Rick Dutencommon. I think I just summoned a pharaoh.
I think I was
But
Close.
I mean,
when he first comes over. When he first comes over to the Petersons' house and eats their breakfast, he raids the refrigerator and sits down at the table with a whole fucking pineapple. Like,
what is he doing with
where are you
his
gonna do
life?
that?
Yeah.
I
Are you
wouldn't.
gonna peel it with your bare fucking hands?
Yeah,
Then he grabs the
yeah.
dog food.
And it only gives him a brief moment of pause. He's like, "That's ass," and then starts taking other shit. He just doesn't give a shit, which is kind of respectful in a way. Like he's such a free spirit, like he doesn't give a shit about that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like I don't want to go to Dave's house and borrow a Coke if I really have to. Like I won't. So I'm not going to be going to either of your house and be like, "Can I have basically all of your breakfast and your children's breakfast?" Like
Like the fresh fruit you haven't cut up yet.
yeah.
like Kramer from Seinfeld. He just shows up and just makes himself at home, and
Yeah, yeah. It's very like noticeable.
yeah,
He,
and
but
everyone else is visually annoyed.
yeah,
He doesn't care.
Carrie Fisher is just gives it to him because obviously this is not the first time that it's happened. So,
Right.
uh, but Dave, you touched on a thing a little bit earlier. I forget what his name is in this movie, but one Corey Feldman.
Our little sister.
We
Ricky
don't know
Butler.
Ricky Butler. We don't know. I assumed he was underage, under drinking age. Get your minds out of the gutter. Get your minds out of the gutter.
But
I thought he was under drinking
he's
age.
frequently drinking.
But like at least one time he is drinking a straight ass beer when Ray Peterson comes out of the house, sneaks over to Art's house, and there Art and Ricky Peterson are just down in some brewskis, down in some old Rolling Rocks, and it's just, I mean, it was a little bit of a different time where people would be like, "You're old enough here," but at the same time,
His parents are out of town, and he's throwing parties.
true,
So, like, there's gonna be a lot of underage drinking.
yeah,
Something
I
we
But he's
mean,
not
don't
just
know how
Ricky.
old they are.
At one point, he's like trying to paint the house, and he makes a fucking mess of it and thinks nothing of it. If it was not your house, if it was your parents' house, you'd be like, "Fuck! I just spilled paint all over the place. I gotta clean this up."
I almost
I,
would say, excuse me, that I think it would have made a touch more sense. Just a touch, age speaking, if he was just a worker that was like, I'm painting houses in the neighborhood, but at the same time, that doesn't put him there permanently, so I guess that doesn't work. But,
Right.
you know, like, who cares?
maybe
Maybe he's more enticed to
so.
want to watch.
Maybe he bought the house with the money he earned selling his professional services as a vampire hunter and comic book collector. Changed
Lord
his
have
name so the
mercy.
vampires can't hunt him down. Changed
Uh,
his name so the vampires can't hunt him down.
Damn.
So, saying, saying.
We have got an episode cooked up that it's going to happen probably this year. So everybody needs to just stay tuned. I'll leave it at that.
I'm sure everyone's thrilled to see me and Chris just going.
People listening on Spotify later are going to be
Yeah.
like, "This is fucking boring."
What?
But they
Why
know.
are they
They
doing
know. They're over an hour deep in this shit. Anybody that's this
But
deep into the pool knows what to expect. And so, you know, not
but
only that, they should know that at this point in the horror house, 6.5-ish seasons in, anything can happen once we're over an hour in. Like, maybe a random music cue can just happen, and it will, and that's part of the enticement. Obviously, video viewers will get a different experience, but that's what we strive for: different experiences for every platform. We're all inclusive, and we have things for everybody.
what I suggest the proper way to do it is to watch the video while you're listening on Spotify.
I can't argue with that.
It's like, okay, sports fans know. I don't know if I guess you probably don't get wrestling on the radio. True
Not
sports fans know, like, your local radio station does a much better job at the audio of a game. So
my
if they're in sync, sometimes they're not in sync and it's impossible,
yeah.
but you put the game on the radio and then you put the game on the TV and turn the sound off, and it's the best viewing experience.
Through my whole childhood, my dad was a college basketball fan, and he would uh
Yep. Yep.
who was he was a bald guy and he was like, "Oh baby," like I forget something, I forget his
Dick
name.
Vitale.
Dick
Dick
Vitale.
Vitale.
He hated everything to do with Dick Vitale and would turn the TV all the way down, go to the radio, find the game, turn it up, and that's how
Yep.
he would do.
I understand. I
I
understand.
live my life that way.
I know there are Dick Vitale suckers. Um,
My dad hated him.
I'm
Everything.
yeah. I just yeah.
So I understand. I
Yeah.
understand completely.
There's something wrong with this medulla oblongata.
He hated that guy. But any final thoughts on the Burbs before we get to our overall opinions and rate this bitch? Once again, Carrie Fisher is your wife, and you are bored. Uh, I'm just saying, let that affect your score how it may, because it
Harry,
affected
don't you
mine
have a
a
gold
little bit.
bikini? She's probably got a gold bikini in the
She
closet.
wore a
She's going to wear that.
sundress, dude. She wore a sundress at one point. What are you doing with your life? You're bored? You're bored, Tom Hanks? Get a fucking job. Jesus Christ.
That's one of the
Sorry.
things about the movie is that the deleted stuff is that he lost his job.
Oh, really? I
Yeah, because they never
still.
say why he's on vacation, why he needs to be on vacation. They just say, "Oh, he's on vacation." And then I guess there was like original thing where at the end when they're walking back to the house and he's like, "Oh, I need a second vacation." Like Carrie's like, "Yeah, I know you lost your job."
Oh.
So
So
maybe he lost his job because as a 10-year-old boy in the body of a grown man, you can only work as a toy executive for so long before you have to move on. And you're not really fully formed to enjoy the beautiful wife that you have been lucky enough to
granted.
marry.
Yeah. That you've been cast with. uh all right. Well, let's get to it. And Dave, this was your pick, so we'll start on my side. Go me, Jeff, Dave this week. Give our overall opinions. We'll give some numbers. Anybody watching in chat, feel free to give your numbers. My LibreOffice has decided that I can't type in it reliably tonight. I don't know what's going on. It may be the fact I have 17 different things going on currently. Whatever. That's fine. Um,
I'm going back to an analog setup with a notebook.
I envy you. Envy you. We're hitting all
Screen,
the fronts. But here we go. Time to rate that bitch. Which coming soon, we're gonna have a rate that bitch screen. I just didn't do it this week. One day, someday soon, couple weeks, soon. This is a fun movie. It's not, to me, it's not stunning in any particular way, but it's entertaining in most of those ways that a movie should be. It's slapstick comedy with like a tinge of horror on top of there, and I'm really there for it. And you've got Carrie Fisher in a sundress, dude. What are you doing with your movie? If I'm not gonna rate that a 7 out of 10, even if I don't agree with Ray Peterson's approach to his hot Princess Leia wife. I'm just saying. Don't come for me. I'm just saying. 7 out of 10. I went up and down between a 6.5 and a 7, and I couldn't, and then I remembered the sundress, and so it got a 7. Jeff, thoughts, opinions, rate this bitch.
Yes, such a great comedy. It's one of my favorites growing up watching on VHS. But it's one of those things like without the internet, you don't know who some of these people are, and we didn't even mention Henry Gibson, like comedic legend here, Henry Gibson, who played the Doctor, uh, and um, and Brother Theodore. Like, you have no idea who this guy is. Like, he's been in a couple things, like animated. He did the voice for Gollum and the Hobbit, the animated one, uh, the Last Unicorn. And looking him up, like, you can find a whole bunch of stuff like he did on Letterman. Like, he apparently did theater, and he would do these long monologues. They're just crazy monologues of, and so, like, there's some stuff on YouTube with him with Letterman, and just goes on these weird, crazy talks with Letterman. And then they'll do like a little section where he does these weird monologues, and it's like that was kind of lost. And I feel like if they did a lot of improv for that movie because of the writer strike, why didn't he have any more lines than just "with my brother the doctor,"
Right.
he didn't talk very much at all in the movie. It's just like that's completely lost on it. So I before I think I would have had a little bit higher, but it's like after seeing that, I was thinking, I feel like if he had just gone on this weird monologue about death or something else, yeah, it would have been kind of interesting to see. Even if it was just like at the very end of the movie, just this long rant.
Yeah.
So but I'd give it a solid 8.
An 8 out of 10.
Okay. Okay.
There you have it. Dave.
I heard that Brother Theodore was originally the main character of the movie, but the actor who played him, Theodore Gottlieb, Ruben Klopek is the character. Um, he wouldn't sleep with Weinstein, so they took every line away from him but one. So it happens,
Sketchy.
man. You got to pay the price. You got to pay the price. Now, this is a great movie. Great movie. Once again, are you not entertained? As if somebody sat and watched this movie and told me they were not entertained, they're either a robot or they're an emotionless alien, and they need to be punched in the jejunum. If aliens have jejunums, or if robots have jejunums.
Dave, we're live
This
on
movie,
camera. Where's a jejunum?
the jejunum is just below the solar plexus. The jejunum is the upper portion of the small intestines.
Oh, we longtime fans, first time watchers. There you have it. Had to stop you for a sec. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Punch somebody in the jejunum and they'll probably vomit. Um, but this movie is entertaining, and it has some horror elements clearly, lots of comedic elements. I've never discount a horror movie for having levity, and I will never discount a movie for having horror elements. I mean, those are both good things that go well together. A comedy is great. Horror and comedy both require such good timing. Um, I always say in a really scary horror movie or in an attempt to be scary, moments of levity make the darkness darker. Um, this movie is almost no darkness. Um, you feel almost no danger for the characters, except maybe the Klopeks. Maybe at some point you're thinking like, these neighbors are just trying to, live their life in peace, and Tom Hanks won't leave them the fuck alone.
Right.
Um, it is such a good movie. It's so beautifully shot. One of the things I like about this movie is that there are like Ricky's friends, Corey Feldman's friends, um, appear in the movie, and they're mostly just there. Like there's nothing to them, but everyone else, and you've got kind of ensemble cast. Like clearly Tom Hanks is the star, but Harry, the little boy, their son, the friend, the rich guy, the Rumsfelds, Ricky, like sometimes some movies fall into the trap of, oh, was that character or was that character? Because everybody's kind of so homogenous. But Joe Dante took all of the quirks and character traits and turned them up a notch, so everybody stands out as a unique individual so well.
Right.
And I give credit to that. It's nice not to have to. I don't know how to remember who's who because the characters are just there. Um, it's great. I love this movie, and I gave it an 8.5, which
All
might
right.
be like my highest rate of the year. I've been a little tougher this year. Obviously, I'm usually still the highest, but only momentarily. And that gives us a combined score of, oh no, that math doesn't math. 8 plus 8.5 plus 7. What's that? Divided by, there we go. This gives us a combined score of 7.8.
7.8.
Yes. Which our previous high was
7.8, was that correct?
well, 7.8,
Okay.
which is the same combined average of the Changeling, and it still falls below Castlevania.
I think we've done the if we mixed up our scores, this would be the Changeling scores because I think I gave Changeling at 8.5, Jeff gave it an 8, and I think you gave it a 7. So
Okay.
we're right there.
That
We
makes
did it.
sense that the average is the same then. So,
If you're not listening and
um,
just watching, here are all of our ratings, which I'm doing the Axl Rose snake dance. You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna
oh
rate.
yes, and that in itself,
Amen. I would do what Corey Feldman would have wanted me to do, which is go for it. I'm gonna be really sad in 2 weeks when we come back and I can't use that anymore because Corey Feldman's not relevant to what we're doing currently. But I'll keep it. I'll keep it, and you never know when
We'll time it
Corey
from
can.
now.
Feldman is always relevant.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. But I'm only gonna use it when we mention his name, capital HIS.
If you're still do the movie that you had planned, I'm pretty sure that Corey Feldman is burying animals in his backyard. So, real strong possibility that we talk about him next week.
Not next week, but in 2 weeks.
Next
Because
show.
yes, one more reminder that we will not be here next week, unfortunately, because don't we maybe in the future we'll have it worked out to where when any of us are absent, another person can do it, and we'll get there. We'll get there in time. But no show next week.
Chris
We will be
is
back.
Chris is the technician that makes this show happen, guys.
Currently, but we all will be eventually, hopefully. But in 2 weeks, we will be back with 1989, another 1989 movie, Pet Sematary, which I ain't gonna fucking lie, is one of my nearest and dearest. Jeff's gonna sneeze. I'm gonna solo cam Jeff real quick.
I'm good.
Ow. Ow.
Dave, I've used the cow technique a couple times, and I've not got it to work as well as you have. I think it's something to do with you more than it is
You
cow.
shout it in a threatening manner.
Typically, whenever I try to use it, they'll sneeze and be like, "Who did you call a fucking cow?" And I'm like, "I didn't mean it like that." But guys, we need some assistance. We didn't bring it up at the start of the show because we wanted the true fans, Wakanda Forever, Horror House Forever fans, the rabble, to help us. We have a call to action. We need you on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever your audio podcast platform is. Subscribe, man. Follow and rate us on any of those. We need them. We need them.
Comment,
If
rate, subscribe.
if you're on the
Like.
YouTubes, like and favorite and subscribe, do all that stuff because we need them. We need them. Put us higher up on
Hey,
the list, man. Jeff, tell him.
it's what Horror
Do it.
House goes. Hey.
Do it.
So Jeff is just simple. He just do it.
But
It's-
we need to get boosted up these
You know there's a
charts,
threat
man.
behind it. You know there's a threat behind it. Jeff will personally come to your house and kick your dog in the nuts.
Jeff's an animal lover. He won't do that.
Yeah.
He'll leave a note
Okay.
under your door and be like, "Will you please do this thing?"
Walk up to the door, slide the note, knock on the door, run away.
And he'll sign it Vincent V. Price.
Yeah.
So you'll never know. But if you guys can do that for us, it would help the show so much. Get in there, leave the ratings, give us the follows, give us the subscribes. We're good for it, man. We'll pay you back. We'll pay you back, not this Tuesday or Thursday, not this Thursday, but like next one or the next one.
Second Thursday after next week.
One other thing before we're gone for 2 weeks. So I want to really backload this episode, so people got a little something to hang on to in case the Memorial Day traffic to Texas gets me. Like, and I don't make it back. You guys got to come to my house and take these files and learn how to build these graphics up again for yourself, so you can carry on, my wayward sons.
If you build it, they will come.
In 2 weeks we'll be back with Pet Cemetery, but in 3 weeks we are doing a tribute as best as we can, because Lord help us, a Roger Corman kind of filmography, kind of as best as we can.
Poor man himself.
Yeah, and all of these episodes have tied together in a interesting way. Scholars will look back on them with boners. Rigid, hairy boners.
So it'll be like,
I
wow,
don't know what I'm saying.
in the early 2020s, like people worshipped Roger Corman as a god.
And who better to worship?
One of the old gods.
One of the old gods.
We could only clean up and preserve 3 episodes of this ancient podcast, but they talked about Roger Corman a lot, so I'm assuming every episode was about him.
Yeah. So stick around for that. If you're an audio podcast listener, you won't miss anything, because we're getting caught up on the audio end of things. Dave, final words for the week, for 2 weeks. Stack it
Oh
twice,
man,
brother.
that's a heavy burden.
The internet is not gonna see you for 2 weeks, brothers. So get in there, leave the message, of not a lifetime, but like a millennia, if you will.
Okay. Oh yeah, you gotta get pumped up. You gotta get out there. You gotta like. You gotta follow. You gotta subscribe. You gotta comment. You gotta rate. I know you got it in you, brother. You gotta deep dig it. Deep dig. You gotta dig deep in your
You gotta
heart.
deep dick it.
Hide it within you.
I accidentally clicked the news thing. Sorry, Dave.
That's okay. That's okay. Because the Rabbles got my back, man. I know they're back there. They're cheering us on. They're like, "Oh, we're house. Oh, we're house." That gives it just we feed on that energy, brother. What you gonna do when we come back with Pet Cemetery and the Roger man? How's that?
I can be your junkyard
How's
dog
that?
any day of the week, brother.
I eat raw meat.
Jeff?
Oh, God, it's funny. Yeah. Oh, shit.
You got any last words for us?
2
Oh,
weeks.
just, yeah. See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks. Man, a few words. Anybody watching at this point knows Jeff. We all love him. Because he doesn't need all these words that me and Dave need to convey a message. He just... few words, big message. For me...
Why would you do that again?
Hit that old crow, man.
I can't wait to talk about Pet Cemetery and Roger Corman in a week and 2 weeks. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Put in a special. Jackie has put in a special request for a special episode in September. So we already got a September episode planned out, guys.
No episode next week, guys. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with Pet Cemetery.
Why would you do that before you start talking?
I'm going for the slapstick because it's the Burbs.
It's funny.
It's like falling over a fence with your taste buds. Oh, man.
Good stuff.
Oh.
All right. I mean, Jeff, realistically, it's almost like a one Corey Feldman told me to just go for it. And with that, I think it is time to bring in the static ghosts. There it goes. It's time for us to get out of here. So, for 2 weeks, we will see you guys. Until next time.
Peace out.
Peace.
Later.
Peace be with you. I kind of wait for like a really good joke to happen. Like last week we had jazz antlers, which was a good one, but like who knows what this week's could be. Like it could be anything. It could be nothing. I could stop it right now.
We could just ramble for another hour.
I mean we could. We won't. We probably won't.
No.
We won't because I've had to pee for like the last hour. So we'll call it. We'll call it. I'll call it.
We're in an alien situation. From now on, I'm going to shout that out when I got pee. We're in an alien situation.
Well, I am in an alien situation. Condolences. Peace be with you.
Right.
Dave, what did I used to say? I forget my old ending. Same cemetery, different grave?
Same cemetery? Yeah, I believe so. I believe that was it.
We'll see you next time. Same cemetery, different grave. Goodbye.